Old souls cannot do conventional dating. It simply does not work. Conventional dating is a normalized form of shallowness, playing hard to get, engaging in some kind of ego dynamics, which for a spiritually mature person is extremely draining. Now, this doesn't mean that you should give up on dating altogether. It's never black and white. This episode is about a deeper solution. Not just why conventional dating is shallow and doesn't really work for a spiritually mature person, an old soul, but also what is the deeper answer? What can you actually do that is giving you energy, that is allowing you to be in highest alignment around this topic? Dating, meeting someone, where so many, even very spiritually mature people, engage in limiting beliefs, actions that drain them and are simply totally out of alignment. And if I may say so, even a waste of time. If you're listening and you're not yet subscribed to the show, I invite you to subscribe now so you never miss the next episode. Thank you for being here. My name is Lorin Krenn, and I'm a coach, author, and hypnotherapist. I help you to understand masculine and feminine dynamics at the deepest level. As an old soul, your whole being is orientated toward truth. This means that just the idea of conventional dating, which includes all these ego games and playing hard to get and performing someone who you are not, wanting to get something, be seen in a certain way, all of that is misalignment. All of that is the opposite of truth. And truth is the highest frequency. Truth is the authentic vibration of our soul. So, as an old soul, as a spiritually mature person, you cannot engage in any of that. It isn't a game to you, because it shouldn't be a game. It is simply about either meeting in truth or you simply cannot meet and it isn't in alignment. And this is why so many old souls have this really misaligned experience in dating, because they're trying to mold themselves into some kind of conventional dating and doing what everyone else is doing, maybe swiping through dating apps, the fear of missing out, needing to be seen, putting yourself out there, whatever on earth that is supposed to mean. And as they engage in that, it's just draining them of their energy. And maybe they meet people, but they meet not the people who are in alignment. This is why also you might struggle with small talk. And there's nothing wrong with small talk, because being serious and heavy all the time has nothing to do with being spiritually mature. That would be another trap to fall into. Of course, there is room for playfulness, goofiness, playful banter, whatever. But it's not at the absence or at the cost of meaning or depth. You have both. You have truth and you have playfulness, right? It's not about some kind of heavy sitting down and just speaking the highest truth. That would be another illusion or limitation. It's really about both. But just engaging in small talk or talking some nonsense that doesn't really mean anything to you, that's not something you can easily most likely engage in. Also, you can sense when someone is not being who they truly are. Whether there is insecurity behind that, whether there is a being seen in a certain way, wanting to get something from you, whatever that is, that energy will register inside your body and nervous system as off, as misaligned. You feel like something isn't right. And that something isn't right is draining you of your energy, because you start scanning what's happening. You're not able to relax. You're not able to surrender to the experience and be fully present. You are sensing in that moment that something is draining your energy. So Rather than trying to mold yourself into something or staying in these scenarios, I invite you to give yourself full permission to listen to that sensation in your body. If you sense that there isn't congruence, even though the right words might be said to you, if you sense that the other person is not truly coming from their highest truth, or you are not coming from your highest truth, that's when you have full permission to let go, or to, when it's about yourself, check in with yourself. Why you're partaking in these unconscious ego games. Why do you believe maybe in your subconscious that you have to do this? Because you don't have to do it. You don't have to waste your time, your breath, your presence on such experiences. I once heard someone say, you gotta have hundreds of dates and then you will find the right person. Speaking in statistics. That is complete utter bullshit. If you look at the laws of energy, the laws of manifestation, yes, if you believe that all is about statistics, then by all means go out there, swipe through 1 million faces and meet 500 people. I couldn't think of anything more disconnected and anything more time consuming, essence consuming, soul consuming. I can tell you this. You being in highest alignment and walking into a coffee shop has a much higher chance of you meeting the right person than you wasting time being in places that drain you, speaking to people where you sense they're not coming from truth. All of that is a waste of energy and is a waste of time. When I thought I had to put myself out there, all I got was that same frequency. I need to put myself out there, limitation. I need to go looking, chasing. So what do we find? We find usually that same vibration we are coming from. Instead, I invite you to give yourself permission to let all of that go. You don't have to be anywhere. You don't have to meet anyone that is on alignment. You don't have to be on dating apps and swipe through 1,000 faces. You don't have to do anything that doesn't fit in alignment and that drains your energy. If we start with this, then by nature we're already elevating our vibration and our consciousness. Because we're giving ourselves permission to no longer engage in things that are out of alignment. The fear of missing out, the idea that you need to go out there and look and chase or whatever, is all rooted in some form of scarcity, in some form of control. You're trying to control the process in order to get to. The mind wants predictability. And these kind of doing these things gives the mind some kind of, oh yeah, this should be working because I'm doing X, Y, Z. But that's not how this works. This is a deeper spiritual process. This is all about energy. If you feel it, go to the party, go to the place, go to the gathering, go to the whatever. But you need to feel congruence. You need to feel that this is a match. You need to feel that something is calling you to go there. Give yourself permission to really check in with yourself. It's not about having some spiritual label and saying, I don't do this, I don't do that. No, it's fine. You can go out and be seen, but it has to feel in alignment. It has to feel right rather than frustration or despair or thinking you need to chase. And when you do that, then your whole energy and presence just totally shifts. And then when you go out, it's just your energy is so much more magnetic. You draw the right person. If they are there in that moment, it's meant to be, that person will see you. Now, let's go into something else that is really important to understand. And I think this is a confusion for many people. You will often hear kind of ideas of modern dating. If you make sure you take a lot of time with that person, go very slow, don't get attached too fast, do not feel too much too soon, and this can all be helpful. Listen, of course, because if you have a history of going with what feels familiar to your nervous system, perhaps in your childhood feeling abandoned, having to earn love, or whatever the wound that or the injury was in your psyche, at a spiritual energetic level, then it makes sense to take things slow, listen to your body and listen to your intuition. But I will say this, again, this can be seen as the mind kind of trying to control it. You can still make the wrong choice even if you take more time. So what I'm trying to say here, there isn't a black and white rule. You can give yourself permission to go deep fast. So you don't have to wait before you go deep. You can go deep immediately. And in fact, by going deep immediately, embodying your truth, really speaking what is important to you, by doing that, you very quickly are actually able to identify whether that might be in alignment. So don't hold on to the kind of ideas, the mind trying to control and for it to be predictable. And yes, if you have a history and you want to take things slow, by all means do so. But don't allow this to become a limitation or to slow you down. If you feel a very strong energetic resonance with that person, then by all means go deep and go fast. Meaning go fast, go deeply, fastly. Because very quickly you'll be able to tell whether this is in alignment. And of course, some people might now say, what if you're confusing trauma with chemistry? What if you're missing the red flags? What if you're doing this? What if you're doing that? I get it. However, you have to be able to trust your internal system. And whether you date them for 20 years or you date them for 6 months, at some point you will be able to identify whether something is not in congruence or not. If you're falling for potential, if you are falling for old wounds, then what it is showing you is that you are still not yet rooted in truth. Because at the highest level, you are meant to drop into truth immediately and see things as they are. So I'm not saying go and move in with someone immediately without understanding how they are and seeing their consistency. But I am saying drop into truth immediately. And watch what happens. Watch the response, right? Express what you truly want and desire in a relationship immediately. Say who you are and what you want immediately. Lay all cards on the table immediately. And then trust your internal compass based on the response you receive to that. Again, some people might get triggered, but this has nothing to do with losing yourself in potential. It has everything to do with finding out as quickly as possible whether this is in alignment rather than wasting time. And when I say wasting time, I have to be very, very clear here. Some people see this as selfish. Oh, who you think you are? Don't waste time. I'm so important. Yes, you are that important. The deeper your soul, the sooner you will feel whether there is resonance with another. And of course, you need to look for consistency. And resonance on 2 dates is not enough. This needs to be ongoingly, of course. But very quickly, if you really unapologetically embody your truth and lay all cards on the table, you can see, can we go deeper? And then you go deeper. And as you go deeper, you will see again, can we go deeper or can we not go deeper? You'll be able to identify it very, very quickly. This is very different than what other dating coaches or dating advice might be. But I'm speaking to you from a place of being really dropped into your intuition, laying all cards on the table and no longer engaging in any ego games. Lay all cards on the table and you'll be able to see very quickly if you can go deeper. You might not immediately, this might not immediately mean forever. You might be able to go deep with that person for a while, but then notice the consistency is lacking. Either way, what you're doing is you are seeking alignment and deeper truth as quickly as possible. On this path, as a spiritually mature, awakened person, as an old soul, you might actually go through stretches of walking alone. You might notice that you try to mold and push yourself into meeting other people, but your soul is calling you more into solitude. Your soul is calling you inwards rather than outwards. This is another reason why it can feel so out of alignment for you, because when your soul is pulling you inwards and you're trying to go outwards and to be seen, it feels completely out of integrity with your own energy. It feels completely disconnected and out of sync with your deeper essence. So it's very normal for old souls to go through stretches where they are not seen, except maybe seen by nature, seen by some meaningful friends or family. And you can trust that, because during that period you're doing the very same as when you are when you are being seen, because you are shifting your energy. You're learning things about yourself and going deeper into your being. Going deeper into your being is never wasted time. Yes, it might seem that in that moment you're not increasing the chances of being seen, but I would argue that the deeper you go into your being, the more magnetic you become to the right person in your life. So just check in with yourself. If you're currently in an inward period, you can trust it. Don't put a label to this. I am now in an inward period. I'm not going to see anyone, because that too will limit you. That too is the mind looking for predictability. You can be inward, but then the right person comes. Fuck it. You go deep with them. Or why would you say, no, I'm in an inward period? These are all constructs and illusions the mind creates to protect itself, attach spiritual labels to it. But if right now it feels so out of alignment to go and see someone or engage in dating, trust the inward process. You are doing actually much more meaningful work than someone else who is thinking in statistics and meeting as many people as possible and draining their energy. Old souls are meant to meet and never to search or to chase. This reframe can shift everything. You're not meant to date in volume. You are not meant to browse and look in all kinds of dating websites or applications or whatever. You are meant to live so truthfully, so in alignment with your soul's truth, your soul's calling and your soul's purpose, that from that place you naturally call that person in, you naturally meet that person. Anything that doesn't feel natural can be a sign that you are stepping out of alignment with your true essence. You want to meet them through resonance, through alignment, through life, and never through performance. There is no strategy. There is no framework. There is no plan. There is nothing. There is just you being in alignment with your soul's truth and your soul's calling and your soul's purpose. And from that place, you trust and surrender that you will meet the right person, that you will draw them into your life. Now, I know this is easier said than done. I know that this is not straightforward, because there is a deeper spiritual answer and truth to this subject, ultimately, that you have to find inside yourself. Now, when you give yourself permission to no longer engage in anything that feels draining, or to go inwards when you feel that it is time to go inwards into your being, that in itself already raises your vibration and raises your frequency. From that place, you become more magnetic and you attract much more powerfully. You increase the chances of manifesting them or drawing them into your life infinite fold. Then from that place, you allow yourself to go deep fast. Not to abandon yourself or believe in a fantasy or potential, but to see, is this in alignment? Can we truly go deep? Why would you hold back? Why would you not lay all your cards on the table and reveal all of who you are? Because in that you are giving the other person permission to do the same. And if they can meet you there, phenomenal. If they can't meet you there, cut the energetic tie. You can do this with the highest integrity. You can do this from a total place of truth. But if you linger around, if you try to make it work, even though you realize that this person cannot meet you at the depth and level of truth and resonance that you are seeking, then you are simply wasting your time in places that drain your energy. Then you give up altogether the idea of chasing or looking for them, and instead you allow yourself to meet them. And that in itself shifts already your energy and vibration. Because what you're ultimately saying is that you surrender and trust that you will eventually, when the timing is right, the intelligence of the universe, of the creator decides that you will meet them in the right place and at the right time. Some people say everything is predestined. Other people say that you create your own destiny. I say there is a middle ground. There is most likely, for every person who seeks that divine union and partnership, the divine partner out there. When exactly they will meet them, how exactly it is going to be, and when it is outside of your control. And yet conventional dating focuses so much on the when, on the how, and on the control aspects, on the ego dynamics. If you let go of all of that and you simply focus on alignment, you never chase. You give yourself permission to let go of anything that drains your energy, then you create the highest possibility of meeting them. And this here is an incredibly important energetic law of the universe. If right now you feel frustrated because you don't meet them yet, you need to take an honest look at that energy. Because that energy is telling you that you are not in acceptance with how the process is unfolding. You're not in acceptance with the when and how. You're trying to hold on, you're saying it shouldn't be this way, which creates resistance. And that resistance creates misalignment. And from that misalignment, you might then engage in actions that make you feel even more disconnected and misaligned. So all you have to do is focus your energy on alignment and keep your energy there, and don't allow any advice or another person or another influence to pull you out of that energy. And when you can be in that energy, you are vibrating at a higher frequency. You're not chasing, you are becoming a vibrational match for the right person. And if it happens tomorrow, nice. If it happens in 1 year, nice. If it takes longer, yes, you can feel an ache and a deep desire, but it doesn't mean you have to live in pain. It doesn't mean you have to live in resistance. That is the energy to focus on. If you focus on that, it is 1,000,000 times and beyond more meaningful and impactful than dating a lot of people, swiping through a lot of dating apps, or any of that stuff. Now, last thing I will say here is, do not create rules. You might actually meet the right person, who knows, through an Instagram DM, through whatever. Who knows? There is no right or wrong. The universe doesn't say, oh, you met them through a dating app, so it's not your divine union. Who cares about that nonsense? That's just our own perception and judgment. You might meet them through technology. You might meet them in a coffee shop. It doesn't matter. What matters is there is resonance. What matters is there is alignment. What matters is that you are in alignment with your soul's calling and your soul's truth. Forget about the rest. Focus only on that, and you make it inevitable that you find the right person. This is how you date. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. But it requires, again, recalibration and recalibration and recalibration, because the world, advice, other people, limiting beliefs, conditioning, wounding, they pull you out of that energy. They make you think, I have to do something, I have to control the process. No, you don't. The more you control, the more you lower your energy. The less you try to control and drop into your soul's truth, the more powerful your energy becomes, the more powerful you manifest. And that's it. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you are not subscribed yet, subscribe now to the show so you never miss the next episode. It's a true honor to be of service in your journey.